All right, I'm going to go ahead and begin. I know there will be some folks who join us over the next few minutes, but I want to start by introducing myself. I'm Jamie. I'm a college advisor here with the Logic Prep team, and I am so excited to be with you this evening from London, where I am based, to talk to you about the UK personal statement. We've got a lot to cover today, but please do put your questions in the Q&A or in the chat, and we will get to as many of those as we can at the end. Just to give you a sense of the things that we're going to talk about today, we're going to go through the components of a UK university application and talk a little bit about how that's different from the common application and the process in the United States. We're going to talk about the importance of the personal statement and why it plays such a huge role in the admissions decision process in the UK. I'm going to give you the formula or the recipe for a really strong personal statement. It is sort of much more formulaic and structured than some of the writing that you'll be doing for other applications. We're going to talk about what that looks like. We're going to talk about some of the common do's and don'ts for your personal statement. And finally, I'll give you some advice of things that you can do now to help make writing your personal statement a lot easier and make your personal statement a lot stronger. So I want to start by just giving an overview of the UK university application. We're going to do a session in the next few months that dives a little bit more into applying to UK universities, choosing a course, and some of the other bits and pieces of the application process. So today we're really going to focus on the personal statement. But just to provide some context, I want to talk a little bit about where the personal statement fits in the rest of the application. You'll hear me say today a lot or reference a lot UCAS, and that is the sort of common application system for UK universities. It stands for Universities and Colleges Admissions Service, and UCAS is the website where students can research universities and courses that they're interested in. It's also the system that they'll submit their applications through. And the process is a lot more streamlined than the process in the United States. There are less components to the application and a much stronger focus on academics. As I said, we'll host another session that will dive a little bit more into the application process, how to choose a course, how to understand entry requirements. But today I just want to give this quick overview for context. It's important for you to know what is not included in a UCAS application. You don't submit a CV or a resume or a robust activities list. You do not submit multiple teacher recommendations. There's no interview except in a few very, very limited circumstances. And there's no additional information section. I wanted to give you this very simple visual representation of how the UCAS application differs from the Common App. And without even reading these bullet points, it's pretty clear that the UCAS process has less pieces and is much more simplified than the Common App process. The UCAS application really just consists of a few things: a section that includes your personal details, some information about your education history, your course choices, and we're going to come back to that in just a second, the personal statement, which we're going to talk a lot about this evening, and a reference, which will come either from a counselor or a teacher, just one, and who writes that reference really depends on the policies at your school. On the right-hand side, you can see all of the components of the common application. So yes, your personal detail and your education history and testing and a very robust activities section, the selection of colleges that you'll be applying to, a counselor recommendation, often more than one teacher recommendation. And then here's where things get even more complicated. You've got your Common App essay, but then you might also have supplemental essays for the schools that you're applying to. They'll ask about your disciplinary history, and there's that additional information section for you to include information that isn't covered elsewhere in the application. So again, just a quick kind of visual representation of how the process differs. One thing I want to revisit, because you'll hear me say it a lot this evening, is about that course choice. It's really important to remember that in the UK, you can only apply to 5 courses. And I say courses because you are not applying to the university itself. If you're interested in studying psychology, you will apply to the psychology course at King's College or the psychology course at Cambridge. And that application is reviewed for admissibility to that particular course. And this will make a lot more sense when we talk about the things that you'll be writing about in the personal statement and what the universities are looking for in that personal statement. But I just want to highlight that really big difference, that we're talking about a course selection as in a specific subject that you're going to study. Essentially, the sort of best comparison is your major. They don't call it a major, but it is the subject that you are really going to focus in and lock in on from day one at university. And in the UK, that's referred to as your course choice. So all of this is really leading us to, why is the personal statement so important? And given that the UCAS application is so streamlined and so much simpler, the personal statement plays a really big role in that process. It's your only opportunity for you to share your voice in the application process. For international students, it is your opportunity to express why the UK is the right destination for you. But most of your personal statement is really going to be about why you're interested in the courses that you're applying to. And I've put it here again. Remember that you're applying to a course, not to the university. It's your chance to share skills or experiences that demonstrate your passion for the course that you chose. And it's also your chance to mention any personal circumstances that the admissions committee should know about. There are roughly 3 parts to the personal statement. The first section is about the course, and it's your chance to really answer these questions. Why are you applying for your chosen course? Why does the subject interest you? Why do you think you're suitable for this course? And do your current or previous studies relate to the course? And there's a few things here for you to kind of start thinking about. I want to start with the last question first, actually. Do your current or previous studies relate to the course? This is why your course selections in your final 2 years of high school or secondary school are so important. Because if you're planning on applying to universities in the UK, they will want to see that you have availed yourself of the opportunity to take courses that relate to that subject. If you're interested in studying business management, they'll expect to see that you took economics, or that you participated in activities related to entrepreneurship or marketing, and that you've really kind of started to dip your toe in the water of the course that you're interested in studying. Questions like, why does the subject interest you? Or why do you think you're suitable for the course? They're going to be looking for something a bit deeper than, my dad works in business, and so I'm interested in business. Or I think studying business will lead me to a great career. In the personal statement, they're really going to be looking for some really strong evidence-based writing. They're going to be looking for examples, specific examples of things that you've done, things that you've read, events that you've attended, people you know, internships you've had, that lead you to decide that this is the course that you're interested in studying. The second part of the personal statement is really going to be about your skills and achievements. This is where you can really talk about skills that you have that will help you in the course, but also generally with life at university. You can also talk about any other achievements that you're really proud of, positions of responsibility or leadership, and attributes that make you interesting or unique. And when we talk about skills that will help you on the course, we're not necessarily talking about skills that are specific to the course that you're studying. Again, for example, if you're interested in studying accounting, they're not going to expect that you already know how to balance a profits and losses sheet. When we talk about skills, we're talking broadly about things like communication skills, leadership skills, teamwork. And we're going to talk in a few minutes about how you can distill some of your experiences as a high school student into skills that are really transferable to university life and to the course that you've chosen. And then the third part, The third part is really about work experience and future plans. So if you know what it is that you want to do for a career, what you want to do after you graduate, this is a great place to talk about that and to show that you're sort of thinking long term about the course and the path that it might lead you to. An important thing to note about the UK is that you are admitted to study the course that you've applied to, and you really can't change your mind. You will start studying that course from day one, and you have to be really sure that that's what you want to do. And so for a lot of students for whom the UK is the right fit, they already have a sense of what career path they're interested in, what they want to do with their degree after they graduate. And it's a great opportunity to mention that in the personal statement so that the admissions committee can see that you've really thought it through start to finish. A couple of other things to note about the personal statement and about kind of crafting your personal statement. There is a 4,000 character or 47 line limit. This can be confusing for some students because typically the limits for US university essays are given to you in word count. UCAS uses character count instead of word count. So it's 4,000 characters or 47 lines. Many students find that they have more to share, and it can be really difficult to stick to this limit. My advice is always to get everything written down and then start trimming. And of course, your team of advisors and essay coaches at Logic Prep can help you with crafting that final personal statement. But it is really important that you are aware of that limit because it does come up pretty quickly once you start writing. It's also important to know that the same personal statement goes to all 5 of your course choices. And this is something I want to spend a minute talking about because your personal statement cannot be specific to a particular course at a particular university. It has to be relevant to all 5 of the courses that you're applying to. This, in turn, means that your course choices need to also be very closely related. For example, if you're looking at courses in business, you might choose business management at one university and economics and management at another university. And those 2 things are closely related enough that you could conceivably write a personal statement that covers both of those courses. You could not, however, choose business management at one university and decide that you also want to pursue your interest in art and apply for history of art at another university, because it would be very, very difficult to write a personal statement that is applicable to both business and history of art. So again, it's important to remember that that personal statement has to apply to all of the courses that you've selected. And finally, I mentioned this already, but they're really looking for evidence-based writing. So they're looking for a show, don't tell kind of model. Don't just list your activities or achievements. Give some evidence of the skills that you've gained from these experiences and talk about how they relate to the course that you've chosen. A couple of do's and don'ts. Do write in a concise and natural style. So we are not storytelling in the personal statement, and sort of flowery language is really not what we're looking for here. It should be concise, it should be pretty direct. Check it carefully, of course, and monitor that character limit. The character limit does include spaces. It's a total character limit from start to finish. So you'll want to select the whole thing and look at the number on the word count feature that says total characters, including spaces. You should also use the course descriptions for guidance on the skills and the characteristics that universities are looking for. One of the great things about researching UK university courses is that they give you a ton of information about the course. They will tell you exactly which classes you can expect to take. They will tell you exactly what the entry requirements are, and we'll talk about all of those things in a subsequent session. But for example, if you're interested in applying to history of art at Goldsmiths, that course description will give you an idea of the type of student they're looking for. That course description mentions things like creative thinkers, students who can approach the subject from a fresh perspective, and we'll put an emphasis on areas of debate. And so by reading that course description, you can start to get a sense of what are some of the buzzwords, what are some of the skills, what are some of the attributes that they feel are really important for a student to be successful in this course. And then you can kind of work backwards to work those themes into your personal statement. A couple of don'ts. Don't mention any university by name, because your personal statement will be going to all 5 courses that you chose, and that is almost in every case going to be at 5 different universities. Don't use cliches or rhetorical questions or humor. Again, there may be times in your US essay writing where those kinds of tools are appropriate. In the UCAS personal statement, it should be really direct language, really concise, and avoid some of those other things. And the last don't is don't apply to 5 very different courses. A final reminder that your courses have to be related in order for you to be able to craft a really effective personal statement. Some things that you can do now to help make your personal statement easier to write and make it stronger. Get involved at school. Activities that are related to your chosen course are great, but you can also think about things that will help you develop transferable skills. And you can also think about the overall skills that are required for your course. So it may be a course that is based in a lot of lab work where you'll be working with teams. What activities do you participate in that have helped you build really strong teamwork skills? You can also pick up some new skills. You can take online courses, you can attend taster lectures from universities, and this both helps you gain new skills and also helps you become more familiar with the subject matter, so that when you're writing your personal statement, you feel really comfortable talking about history of art or economics or business or psychology or anthropology or whatever course it is that you're interested in. I'd say also reframe your current experiences. Think about all of the things that you've done over the past few years, how you've spent your summers, and distill that down to skills that you've developed. And certainly your logic prep team can really help you think through those things, talk through them, ask questions that will help you really get to the heart of the skills and the experiences and the characteristics that you have built through the various activities and experiences that you've had. Volunteering is a great way to help build some experiences to include in your personal statement. And then finally, I want to say read journals and publications that are related to the course that you're interested in. Read about research or activities that are happening in those departments at some of the universities that you're thinking about. Even though you can't reference universities by name in your personal statement, you can say, I've read about a university that is conducting research in X area, and I'm really interested in this because. And that's a great way to demonstrate to the universities that you are tuned in to the subject matter and that you are thinking about ways that you will be able to engage with the subject when you're a student. A few just additional tips for you to make your activities and your hobbies really count. You need to be able to reflect critically on the experience, not simply state that you did it. I mentioned that there is no activity sheet, there is no resume or CV to be submitted with your application. And it can be tempting to use the personal statement as an opportunity to just kind of list everything. But what I would really encourage you to do is reflect on the experiences that mean the most to you, the experiences that are most relevant to the course that you've chosen, and really focus on those. As I said earlier, with the character limit, I find that most students have a lot more to say than 4,000 characters, and that's great. And one of the things that you can do through that process is list everything and then trim it down and dig a little bit deeper into certain elements. I think that one of the sort of pitfalls that students have is because the personal statement is the only place for you to sort of speak freely in the application process, there's a temptation to want to include it all. And really what we're looking for are the most impactful skills, experiences, work experience, summer programs, whatever those things are. We're looking for the handful that are going to be the most impactful relative to the courses that you've chosen. And then finally, I would say don't rush to take on additional activities just for the sake of your personal statement. Just like with your applications to US universities, universities can tell when you've just kind of been disingenuous about joining something or adding something to your activities list because you feel like it's something you should be doing. Be confident in the experiences that you've gained so far and find ways to make those relevant to the course that you've chosen by reflecting on what you've learned or gained. There's a couple of resources that I want to highlight that I think really help with what I've been talking about, that reflection element. And the first is the personal statement worksheet through UCAS. So the personal statement worksheet is probably a bit small for everyone to see, but it essentially just lists out a bunch of questions for you to start to think through and answer. Things like, why are you applying to this course? What skills do you have that will help you on this course? All of those things that I listed in the recipe for the personal statement are here on this UCAS personal statement worksheet. It's an excellent place to start organizing your thoughts, to start thinking through some of these questions, and to start doing that really critical reflection on your experiences. And then finally, on the right-hand side of this slide, you'll see I've given an example using business and management, but there are dozens of personal statement guides by subject on the UCAS website. And these give you a breakdown of the skills and characteristics that they are looking for in applicants. So you'll read on that page directly from the tutors and the admissions committee who are reviewing applications. Here's what we're looking for. Here are the kinds of things we like to see. Here's what not to put in your personal statement if you're applying to business and management courses. And that can be a really great tool to help you get started and to help you think about some of those skills and attributes that they might be looking for. I realize that that has been a lot of information in a short time. I'd like to open it up now for questions. I see that there are a few here already. Let me take a look. So if you did a summer course at a specific university, can you say its name? Absolutely. So if you did a summer course somewhere, whether it's a university that you are applying to or not, you can definitely mention it and mention your experience in that summer course for sure. What I would avoid doing is saying things like, I'm interested in applying to the mathematics program at Cambridge University because that personal statement with Cambridge in it is going to go to all of the other universities that you're also applying to. Please feel free to put your questions in the Q&A or in the chat. I'm going to leave a couple more minutes. One thing I do think that can be kind of difficult or daunting for students is if you are interested in applying to a particular course, but you think to yourself, I don't really have any experience that is relevant to that subject area, or I haven't done anything that is relevant to that subject area. And there will be quite a few. They are certainly not expecting that you have experience studying anthropology in order to apply to an anthropology course. And in fact, you'll find on a lot of UCAS courses, it will actually state under the entry requirements, we are not expecting you to have a baseline understanding of this subject. I think the most important thing you can do is to make a list of all of the activities you've been involved in, the courses that you've taken that you have really loved or enjoyed or done very well in, things you've done over your summers, and start to really reflect on what were the skills that you learned through those experiences and how is that applicable to university life. I think that, again, some students can be a little bit discouraged when they say, I'm applying to business management, but I don't have any business experience myself, or I don't run the business club at my school. That doesn't really matter. They're not really looking for you to come to university prepared in that sense. They're looking to see that you have the skills and that you can really reflect on your experiences to demonstrate that you are a good communicator, that you work well in teams, that you are organized, whatever it is that they've listed as the attributes that they deem important, how can you demonstrate those? There's another question here about international foundation courses. So international foundation course applications are typically done through the university directly. So for example, if you're going to apply to the King's College International Foundation Program, they have their own application for that on their website. So generally, you will not apply for foundation courses through UCAS. On a sort of related question, talking about writing a personal statement after a foundation year for an international student. I think that is great. If you are doing a foundation year and then you are applying through UCAS, a lot of students do foundation year so that they can have direct admission into the university where they did their foundation year. And in that case, you typically bypass the application process, the UCAS application process. If you're a foundation year student at King's, and you meet their requirements, you are then generally offered admission, direct admission into the degree program at King's, for example. However, if you do a foundation year and you decide that you want to apply elsewhere, or if you're doing a foundation program that is not affiliated with a university, I think including in your personal statement your experience in the foundation year, the courses that you took, why you feel now better prepared for university and for the courses that you've chosen after having completed the foundation year, I think that's all really relevant. And universities would be very, very happy to hear that the foundation year served its purpose and provided a very strong foundation for you to be successful on their course. Any other questions that I can answer for you? As I mentioned, we'll be doing a subsequent session in the coming months that will talk a lot more about choosing a university course in the UK and the process for understanding entry requirements and how do you whittle down your list to just 5 courses. We'll talk a little bit more about UCAS itself and the role that UCAS plays in the application process. But today was really about diving into the personal statement. I hope that there are some students in our audience who are getting started on their personal statements and that this was helpful in terms of giving them a framework to use and some guidance on how to get started and what universities are looking for when they review your application. I'm going to hang out for a few more minutes in case there's questions. The Logic Prep team is going to pop into the chat a link to a survey, and you'll also receive that via email along with the recording from this session. I know it was a lot of information in a very short span of time, so it will be available for you to revisit as necessary. And of course, if you would like to speak to the team at Logic Prep about your particular circumstances or learn more about the UK application process, please email us. The email address is on the screen, and we will be happy to book some time in with you to tell you a little bit more and to learn more about your interests and your university plans. I want to wait just a minute to see if there's any other questions that pop up. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. It's been a pleasure to be with you this evening London time. And I hope that you found this session helpful. There's another great webinar happening next week, which you can register for on the Logic Prep website. And that is really going to be about the state of university admissions with Olivia and Lindsay. So be sure to check that one out as well. Thanks, everyone, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.